Once upon a time, in a small village nestled deep within a dense forest, lived a poor woodcutter and his two children, Hansel and Gretel. The woodcutter struggled to provide enough food for his family, and the times grew increasingly tough. One day, a terrible famine struck the land, worsening their situation. The woodcutter's wife, overwhelmed by hunger and desperation, came up with a plan she believed would save them. She suggested abandoning Hansel and Gretel in the heart of the forest so that they would have fewer mouths to feed. The woodcutter initially resisted, but after much persuasion and the weight of their circumstances, he reluctantly agreed. Hansel, who overheard their conversation, devised a plan of his own. He sneaked out of the house and collected small white pebbles. The following morning, as the woodcutter led his children deep into the forest, Hansel discreetly dropped the pebbles along the path, creating a trail that they could follow back home. Unbeknownst to the children, their stepmother had seen Hansel's plan. She waited until the moon was high before suggesting they make their way back, leaving Hansel and Gretel alone in the forest. Panic struck the young siblings as they realized they were abandoned. However, they soon discovered the trail of white pebbles left by Hansel. Following it carefully, they managed to find their way home, much to their stepmother's dismay. The woodcutter was overjoyed to see his children return safely, regretting his decision to abandon them in the first place. The famine persisted, and the stepmother's heart grew colder. A few days later, she convinced the woodcutter to attempt abandoning the children once more, claiming it was their only hope for survival. This time, Hansel overheard her plan but was unable to gather pebbles. Instead, he decided to use breadcrumbs to mark their path through the forest. The following day, as the woodcutter led his children deeper into the woods, Hansel crumbled pieces of bread and dropped them on the ground. But this time, as they tried to find their way back home, they discovered that the birds had eagerly eaten the breadcrumbs, leaving no trail for them to follow. Lost and alone, Hansel and Gretel wandered through the forest for days. Hunger gnawed at their bellies, and desperation settled upon them. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, they stumbled upon a peculiar sight: a gingerbread house standing amidst the trees. Unable to resist their hunger any longer, the starving children approached the house cautiously. To their surprise, the house's walls, roof, and windows were made of delicious candy, icing, and gingerbread. Overwhelmed by temptation, they began breaking off pieces and eating them hungrily. Little did they know that the house belonged to a wicked witch, a hideous old woman who used the gingerbread house to lure lost children into her trap. Sensing her opportunity, the witch captured Hansel and locked him in a cage, intending to fatten him up and eat him. Gretel, however, managed to outwit the witch. Pretending to be helpless, she convinced the witch to test the oven's heat before throwing Hansel inside. As the witch prepared the oven, Gretel pushed her into it, slamming the door shut. The wicked witch met her demise in the fiery oven. With the witch defeated, Hansel and Gretel found a key to unlock the cages holding other captive children. Free at last, they returned home, their pockets filled with valuable gems and jewels found inside the witch's house. Reuniting with their father, the woodcutter, they learned that their stepmother had left their home and disappeared. The woodcutter, filled with remorse for his previous actions, embraced his children with tears of joy and vowed to be a better father from that day forward. The newfound wealth brought by the gems and jewels helped the woodcutter and his children overcome their poverty. They moved to a larger house on the outskirts of the village and lived a comfortable life. Hansel and Gretel grew up to be kind-hearted and resilient individuals, forever grateful for their survival and the lessons they had learned. As they grew older, Hansel became a skilled carpenter, following in his father's footsteps, while Gretel discovered her passion for baking and opened a successful bakery in the village. They were admired by their community for their generosity, often sharing their wealth and helping those in need. The story of Hansel and Gretel spread far and wide, becoming a tale of triumph over adversity and the power of resourcefulness. Children and adults alike marveled at their courage and cleverness, and the siblings became symbols of hope and resilience in challenging times. Years passed, and Hansel and Gretel lived a fulfilling life, surrounded by loved ones and cherished memories. They never forgot the lessons learned in the forest and remained grateful for the second chance they had been given. And so, the tale of Hansel and Gretel served as a reminder that even in the darkest of times, with determination, wit, and the support of loved ones, one can overcome any obstacle and find their way home.